What up, Internet? I am the PC Goblin. And today we're looking at the Engenius EAP1250. And yeah, I did just read it off the box. Terrible with numbers like that. But if you buy one of these, this is the box that you get. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what we get inside. It says we get one in-turbo AP, a power adapter, ceiling mount, bases, a quick install guide, and a mounting kit. Let's see if that's true. Now, if you don't know what this is a wireless access point. This is not like your normal router that you'd go buy at Best Buy or whatever. This is purely just the wireless portion of one of those wireless routers that you'd buy. So if you're going to have one of these, you do need to have a router at the first of your network, you know, to connect you to the internet or whatnot. If you're just doing stuff with inside your network, then I guess you probably don't. But here we go. This is what we're greeted with. Some kind of little pamphlet. And then we've got the wireless access point. This is really small and light, guys. Kind of thick, though. Alright, we got a quick install guide. Got our mounting brackets and mounting hardware. And then one power adapter. This is the first wireless access point that I've seen that actually comes with a power adapter included with it. They normally just feed off of power over Ethernet, which is my preferred way to power it, because then I just have to worry about plugging it into an Ethernet port as opposed to plugging it into an Ethernet port and a power outlet. But this also can be powered with power over Ethernet. You don't have to use the power adapter, you can use either or. Don't use both. As for the specs, with wireless, it's got a quad-core processor, 717 megahertz turbo engine, high capacity 11 AC Wave 2 MU-MIMO performance, beamforming optimizes signal reception and reliability for clients. You can monitor, manage, and receive alerts with EzMaster network management. And I have a video talking about that on my channel if you go check that out. N400 on 2.4 gigahertz and AC867 on 5 gigahertz air performance. Built-in modulation omnidirectional antenna. 1 gigabit LAN port, 1 DC 12 volt jack. The dimensions are 132.4 millimeters by 37.4 millimeters. And then for the power source, you can use the included adapter, or for PoE, it's IEEE 802.3AF. And like I was saying just a second ago, don't use both. Use power over Ethernet or use the adapter. That's it for what you get inside the box and with the wireless access point. I now have it hooked up in just about the direct middle of my house. So we're going to be setting this thing up like you can see on the screen. And this is what I really like about Engenius's access points is you don't have to have their EzMaster software. You don't have to have their Sky Key to manage their stuff. You can just log directly into it and manage just that device. Now getting back to this, we're going to log into it and username and password is just going to be admin and admin. And this is what we're greeted with when we log into it. We can see it's a dual radio wall plate access point. Not sure what 2T2R is, but 400 megabit per second, 867 megabit per second. And then we have the information about it, memory, LAN information, wireless LAN information. And here's the SSID that it comes with, you know, just default on it. If we go to connections, this is just going to show us who's connected to it. So if we go to real time, we can see just what kind of load it's putting on this. I'm pretty far away from the access point, but I'm only getting about 2.4 down and about 4 up with what I'm seeing. So going to network, going to basic, just want it to be DHCP. I don't care about any of that stuff. Wireless, yeah, we'll just leave that as the name. Call that Wave 2 5G. Gonna disable the 2.4. Gonna click on edit. It's gonna take us to a new screen. And I want it to be just 5G. Don't want to hide the SSID, client isolation, no, VLAN. Band steering, I'm not gonna enable this because it's just gonna be 5 gigahertz for this network. Security mode, gonna go with WPA2. Just run with passphrase PCGoblin2. We got radius settings that I don't care about, fast roaming. Go ahead and enable that so it rolls through different access points and doesn't ever drop off. Don't really care about any of that. Gonna hit save. Brings us back to the main screen. I'm gonna go ahead and hit apply. And this is gonna apply it to the access point. Alright, it's now applied to it, so we'll jump back to wireless. Make sure the settings took, and it did. And I'm gonna go ahead and create a 2.4 network. Call it more or less the same name, but it's gonna change that as soon as we hit edit. Disable security mode, WPA2, enable fast roaming with it, and we're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and apply that. Alright, now that it's finished setting that up, just gonna check to make sure it's there, and it is. Don't want to use green, I want full power on this sucker. Change that to 80 megahertz. Change that to 2040. Leave transmit power to auto. Don't really care about anything else. I'm gonna save that. We got that configured. Just gonna jump through the mesh so you can see what that's about. There's that. Settings. We're not using mesh because mesh is terrible. And then we've got tools for it so we can see link status. Nothing to see because I don't have it set up, but we've got ping, traceroute, throughput, etc. Then if we go to management, this is advanced settings on the access point, so nothing too special. You can have it set up to send email alerts if something happens to it. I don't want to do that. And then time zone. That is not my time zone. Mountain time. Apply that. Just Wi-Fi scheduler. So this is so you can enable or disable your Wi-Fi or your SSIDs at specific times during the week, which is actually pretty cool. And then you can also auto reboot the access points, once a day or once a week, whatever you want to help clear memory and whatnot. Make sure it's always running optimal. I don't do that, but it's there. And then moving to tools, we more or less see the same things that we were seeing under mesh. We've got ping, traceroute, NS lookup, speed test. Let's check out speed test real quick. Okay, so this uses iPerf3, so you need to have an iPerf server if you're going to use that. And then LED, I don't want the LEDs on the access point lighting up. Kind of weird to see your top of the cabinet glowing from just one little spot at night when this thing's going. And then system manager, we've got account. So under account, we can change the password. I'm just leaving it default for now. Firmware, this is where you can go if you want to update the firmware version. So let's go ahead and check to see if there is one. So we'll just Google EAP1250 and we'll go to Engenius's website for it. Then 1250 firmware, it's downloading. So this is 3.6.7.4. So quite a bit newer firmware version on this. I'm going to do this through the SkyKey or the EzMaster software that's running on the SkyKey, so you guys can see what it's like with that. And then if we jump to log, we can see what kind of messages it's kicking off or running into. So there's that. Now we're going to go ahead and set it up in EzMaster or on my SkyKey. Go ahead and log into that. When we first log into EzMaster, this is what we see. So first we're going to click on home for recent projects. Projects is kind of like your site. And here we see the access point. I've already added it to EzMaster. Basically you just click on pending approval, check the box, hit add. Then it adds it. And then to edit that access point, click on its name. You can rename it whatever you want. You can change the password to it. You can change it from DHCP to static. And then our wireless radio settings. I'm going to change this back to 2040. 80, leave those auto, and do the same thing for this, but enable PCGoblin2, save, go to advanced settings, turn off the LEDs, then I'm going to hit apply, and then this is going to go ahead and apply. That you can see up here under applying change. The changes have finally taken, so we'll click back on this to double check that they actually have been. Nothing changed with that. And this is what we set up for SSIDs. And that's disabled. Then if you have the firmware update file that I downloaded previously, we can just come up here to maintenance and then bulk update. And then we just upload it to here, punch it into there, and then we could update it. But we're gonna go over here to global settings. I'm gonna go to one-click update. Then we're gonna check for updates. And I found one for the access point. So I'm going to just go ahead and select, and I'm going to update. Alright, now that's done. So I'm just going to hit check for updates one more time just to make sure there was no update on top of that, which there wasn't. So I'm going to go back to projects, home, and here we can see we're running the latest version of the firmware on it. Looks like it's still applying the change a little bit, but that's okay. Now with EzMaster, like I've said a few times, you don't have to have it to use this access point or any of their access points, but the more access points that you do have, the more you're probably going to want to use EzMaster, because then it'll become a lot easier to manage a whole bunch of devices as opposed to just logging into each one individually. Now that I've shown you EzMaster, I'm going to go ahead and go throughout my house and try testing it out in different spots to see what kind of speeds and range we get with this, and we'll see what we get. Alright, I have now tested this for a few days and run pretty much just off of this, not using any of my Ubiquiti stuff that's set up for the most part. But just to give you kind of a lay down of my house, it's a like 4,500 square foot house. I've got 3 floors, so the basement, main floor, and then the second floor, and each of those is about 1,500 square feet, and it's kind of a big rectangle. Just to kind of give you an idea, the main floor is 9 foot, basement's 9 foot, and then the top floor is 8 foot, and then all the interior walls I've insulated with rock wool and then run Ethernet through it like a madman. So the wireless signal has a lot that it has to go through just inside the house because my walls are not hollow. They're filled up with rock wool, which is even thicker than the fiberglass insulation that's normally used to insulate stuff. So it's got a lot that it has to do. But living off this with the 5G, I had fast Wi-Fi throughout my entire house, other than a couple of like the extreme corners of my house, and even then I still had signal. I was still on 5 gigahertz connecting and at fairly decent speeds, like 17, 20 megabits per second. So that's awesome. And I was really curious about how this compared to my Ubiquiti Wave 2 device. I think it's called the Mini HD. But the Ubiquiti Mini HD, while I did get faster speeds with it, I had to be closer to it, and it wasn't reproducible every time that I ran the test. Whereas this, I got more or less the same speeds far away from it as I did close to it. Now, closer I did get faster speeds, and they were slower than the Ubiquiti, but like I was saying, the Ubiquiti Mini HD, I've been closer to it and gotten much slower speeds on the speed test, every other time or whatnot, and it just wasn't reproducible at that faster speed for whatever reason. Whereas this, consistently, if I was far away from it, I was getting the same speeds, closer to it, it's getting slightly faster speeds, but it was more or less the same speed every single time I ran it. And then on top of that, my Mini HD, it just does not broadcast as far as this does. It gets close. There's not a whole lot of difference in range that I've noticed, but this does a better job at it. So needless to say, I'm slowly switching over to Engenius. And in fact, I went and found a used one off of eBay. So this is the EAP1250, but this is not the one that you saw at the first of the video. This is one that I picked up off of eBay, and I got this for, I don't know, like 40 bucks. If you want to get it new, you can get it for about 80 bucks off of Amazon. I have a link in the description below, and I really recommend these. These are awesome. But I know this video is a little bit long because I spent a lot of time showing you how it's set up and what the menus for this thing is like, but I hope you found it helpful. I hope you found it enjoyable, and if you did, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you didn't, well, you know what to do. And hopefully you want to see more of my stuff, so you smash that subscribe button. And I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much for watching.